Hello and welcome to tonight's podcast. Before we get going with that, I would just like to have a quick word about today's sponsor, CABI, the Community Assembly of the British Isles. We are constantly seeking solutions, and it is evident that complete unity among the people is essential for us to reclaim our power. I believe the Community Assembly of the British Isles represents the best option available. CABI's goal is to transform every community into a powerful entity, creating a vast network of strong communities. It is the people who should determine how we live our lives, and it is the people who can empower themselves to make this a reality. The Community Assembly of the British Isles is a great facilitator in helping to bring this vision to fruition. Since its inception pre-2020, CABI has been steadfast in its mission, actively facilitating change across the British Isles. Click in the video description link below to find out so much more, and sign up free today. Let's take back the power. Now please do enjoy the podcast.
Are you concerned about all this corruption being misgendered as conspiracies? Well, don't you worry. Sit back, relax, and join in the conversation as we talk with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
Hello and welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris Brooks, for another LSB Film podcast. Today I have a really extraordinary guest. My guest today is Tim Nigel. Now, Tim started off in his own country and he has since sailed the world. I don't know if you've completely sailed the world, and he's proving to people that you can do this. You can travel freely without the need of passport and government identification. There's various reasons as to why Tim has done this, and we are now going to find out. So welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Chris. It was for me, it was back in the COVID pandemic times, and sort of spending time down in the protests in Wellington, being arrested down there, spent a couple of days inside for basically sitting on a piece of grass that I was trespassed from by a man that didn't own it. And my son telling me that he was going to go and get the jab in order to travel. Now, I knew that we didn't have to do that. Nobody had to do that, but I didn't know how. It just didn't sit right with me that we would have to do anything to travel.
A good old gut feeling.
That's it, yeah. And that's what I tend to sort of go with most in my life, Chris. You know, it's if it feels wrong, there's a reason why, you know?
Absolutely.
So after Wellington, I ended up being invited up north, up to Waitangi by a lovely lady called Carleen. Carleen's heavily involved in human trafficking cases and what have you. And just a beautiful lady. So she took us up there to, I don't know, help us get over what we'd just seen at these protests and ground ourselves again. And from in that time, I learned a lot around the sovereignty that we are granted within our land, that we all have, you know, automatically, and the flag of which we sail under here, the flag called Tikara. That's the sovereign flag that was gifted by King William VI that was in 1882. They first picked the flag up from Portsmouth in England, and it was given to the 13 chiefs and taken back to New Zealand with other flags, but this is the one they chose. And there has been, strangely enough, we were talking about it the other day, there's been other flags as well, and it's just come down. But the other ones have the other one has a white primray around it there. And that was a false flag in order for the corporation to basically deceive us once again, you know, create confusion, because that's what they do. So along with this flag, we have a document that was signed in 1835, and that went back to King William again, and it was signed by the 13 chiefs of New Zealand, which is actually Te Ika Maui. New Zealand is the corporation name, but we'll say New Zealand for the ease of things. And that document basically gave the people sovereignty, but it also gave protectorate of the crown, of the monarchy of England, the true monarchy, not what we're seeing these days, you know. They also, with the coordinates, put in the coordinates extending from this land, which made on the documents the entire world sovereign. So we're all sovereign beings. We were all granted it. It's just time we started acting it, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I've just done an interview with Mr. Moore. Do you know Graham Moore, the English Constitution?
Oh no, I've heard of him though. Yeah,
Or
it's
Daddy
probably somebody.
Dragon?
Yeah,
Is
hopefully
his
I'm going to
nickname.
run into him at some point.
Well, I could hook you two up. That's not an issue. I could
Yeah, that'd
certainly,
be great.
swap emails for sure. But
Yeah, definitely.
so when exactly did you set sail then from New Zealand?
So we left in 2023. It was the 1st of March of May, June. 2023, and that was myself, my partner at the time, Mary, and her daughter, 11-year-old daughter, Sophia. And we set off and went off to Fiji from there and started making our way up.
And how did you find the first? Because had you ever done anything similar to this before? I'm assuming you must have had some kind of boat experience before you said, you know what, I'm going to do this. Please tell me you did.
I've had boats within New Zealand waters. I've had smaller boats. I've had speed boats, jet skis, and small motorboat sort of thing. But no, nothing like this. No.
So how did you find like the first, I don't know, couple of weeks?
It was just amazing. The sense of freedom with it. There was no fear. It was just you're totally free. You're out there by yourself. Nobody's telling you what to do. And after, don't forget, we've just been through the COVID period. So to have that feeling for me was just immense, and then being able to cross from one land to another, not forgetting that all land is joined. We're just separated by water. So to be able to do that was just, for me, just an unbelievable feeling. Yeah, and I had to keep going from there.
Absolutely. So was there any kind of apprehension as you was approaching another country, because essentially this was your first experience of not needing the documents to, so what was going through your mind at that time?
Obviously, there's concern around it. How are they going to accept it? What are they going to do? Are they going to, are we going to be arrested on the spot? Are we going to be taken away? Who knows? You just don't know. So all these thoughts are running through your head. And it's only when you get there and you get into it, then you're going to know. And let me tell you that every single country that you go to has got a different response. So there's no standard format. There is a standard format of what I do sending out. I give notifications. I give the 3 notifications that we are coming through. This is our right to travel. We have a right to be here. Okay. We mean no harm, etc., etc. And that's all in my paperwork as the living being, not as the corporate entity, the birth certificate. So they get notification, but yeah, it's quite daunting as you come into different places. Most definitely, yeah.
No, I can imagine, because essentially, I mean, it depends where you dock, but I suppose you could go unannounced, couldn't you? And you can just turn up at some obscure port, get off, travel. Let's face it, they're doing it by the boatload in Kent.
yeah, this is it. Look, I guess you could. I think you've still got to do things and give notification. You don't want to cause yourself problems, and I wouldn't advise people to just jump in and carry on and do that, because that just wouldn't be the way. We've still got to play by the rule book, but make the rules ourselves. So we're basically, if there's a contract to offer, we're offering the contract, not them.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So have you got any exciting stories thus far from your travels? Any encounters or?
We had a good one in India, because basically we went pretty unencumbered up until India. I mean, Aussie was interesting.
So did you go from New Zealand to Australia, from Australia to Africa?
Yeah. Shall I run you through the?
Yeah, that'd be good.
So we left Te Maui, New Zealand, to go to Fiji. Fiji, Vanuatu, right up the islands, then over to New Guinea, Thursday Island, top of Australia, which is actually, it's not even in Australia's jurisdiction. That is in the jurisdiction of the Wasaga tribe. They won that in court, so that they've, that's a done deal. So we've just got yet again a fraudulent, company sat there pretending they run the show. From there, it was up to Indonesia, where it all went well through Indonesia. We went right up through the middle. From Indonesia up to Thailand, up into the Gulf, where I wanted to go and see friends up in Koh Phangan, Koh Samui. We were boarded there by the authorities. That was an interesting one. They weren't very keen on our paperwork, and not forget that our paperwork is still based around English Constitution type stuff. So the English were never there, but they did understand that we had a right to travel. And they basically said, look, if you just go over there and stay out of our way, just carry on, and it's okay, so we did that. And it's working with them on a, don't get angry with them. That's a waste of time. Don't try and be bullshit and show them who's boss. Nobody's boss, we just talk to them. This is what we want to do.
Remain in good standing, as they say.
That's it. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, from Thailand down to round the bottom, Singapore, to up to Malaysia. We stayed for quite a while in Malaysia, got some repairs done there. That's a never-ending thing, repairs. And then from there, we went over to India. Now, India, we accidentally sailed into a high-security Navy base. Yeah. So,
it's always good.
Yeah, it didn't go down very well. So, but the thing was, on all the maps and everything, there was a yacht club within this area. So I thought, well, the best place we can go to is a yacht club. They're always, very sort of supportive to people. But unfortunately, the yacht club was in the Navy base. We managed to get a 86-foot yacht into a high-security Navy base, go unnoticed, and then we were at gunpoint for about 7 days. And the whole thing is that they just would not accept what we were saying at all. And we had there was a guy, an immigration official, that kept coming down. Everybody got involved. I don't know if you've ever been to India, but you've got to have 1,000 people for one small problem, sort of thing. So it's just
how many
nuts.
Indians does it take to change a light bulb?
That's pretty much what it was. So we had all day long, you'd have them all stood there and all discussing between themselves. And this head of immigration, and he come down one day, would have been about maybe 3-4 days in, and they were trying to keep us awake, trying to keep us tired, wear us down constantly. And he came down with his iPad, and he showed me his iPad, and he said, I know who you are. And I said, oh, who am I? And he said, and he read out my corporation, my birth certificate name. And I said, no, that's actually an email on an iPad. I am me. I am the man stood in front of you. And he just said, I am sick of your philosophical nonsense, and throws his hands in the air and walks away. And I said, well, it's not philosophy. It's not philosophy. This is factual. He also threatened, this guy threatened my partner, Mary, at the time. And I actually didn't know about this. And had I found out about it, I don't think I would have responded very, very well to him. Not that she needs a man to, stand up for her. But he said to Mary on the way out, I will make you beg for mercy. So those are the types of people that are in power, the type of people that we are running into now and again. But strangely enough, they called in the land police. And the land police, the chief there was called Kumar, and he ended up being my friend.
Really?
And he was bringing me cups of tea, and he was on board with us. And he basically stopped all these guys doing, just being nasty towards us. And he helped us get out of there. So, it all worked out well in the end.
Well, that's fantastic.
So, yeah.
What an accolade. What a story to go back to. That's great. Oh, brilliant. So I have to ask the question then, what made your partner at the time retreat back? I assume she went back to...
She went back home. Now, Mary had, when we decided to do this, she's got she's got three children, two boys and a girl, and they're young children, and she left them with their dad, and that was all agreed on, and everybody was happy with that. But obviously, at the time, as time goes on, as a mother, you miss the bond with those children. You're missing it, you know. So I totally understand that. So she's gone back to be with the kids now. She didn't see the two boys for around about 15 months. So yeah, I hold Mary very, very highly, and yeah, I'm so proud of what she achieved on this.
Yeah, that is a huge undertaking, really. Like you say, when you've got two small kids, that is a huge step to take.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm glad it just wasn't the fact like what happened in Africa scared Mary off. I'm glad it was family-based reasons.
Nothing scares Mary, let me assure you. Nothing.
That's great. That's really good. So where are you going next then?
So from here, so obviously we're in the UK at the moment, and I'm basically waiting on repairs and everything getting done now, bits and pieces. We're meeting people like yourself, get some interviews done, and then we'll be heading down the coast of Africa, and we'll be heading across to the Caribbean. And
I'd love to do that. I'd love to go to the Caribbean. I was going to say I haven't even got a passport, but then don't say that, mate. Don't say that. Oh.
Yeah, looking for crew, Chris. So you can interview me all the way down, mate. You get the first scoop.
I'll tell you what, that is really so tempting.
Very welcome, buddy.
It really is very tempting, I have to say. Obviously, because I'm only kind of doing this, so I haven't got like a day job as such to go to. So
yeah,
and you don't require a passport, which I don't have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is really tempting.
Have a think about it.
Oh yeah, my wife will love this, I'll tell you. Have you been getting any kind of seasick?
I don't get seasickness whatsoever. Never have done. It's funny, we're just talking about Mary there. Now, Mary used to get it when we first started sailing, and it was actually more sailing around our own lands and getting used to the boat that she was getting this. And I said to her one day, I said, look, my thoughts on seasickness is it's all in your mind. It's about worry. It's about, is this going to go wrong, that go wrong? And that's what makes you seasick. And then from there, she actually stopped being seasick because she trained her mind, to sort of just overcome it all. And that's our beliefs around that. I mean, other people will argue with me and say it isn't, but that's what I've seen, and that's what I truly believe.
I mean, I know, like, when I've been on, like, boats, when I've gone to Spain and we went on, like, the catamaran, and for a few days afterwards, it feels like when you're walking, you're going, whoop.
Oh, yeah, you've always got that.
Yeah, but I did find that when I did start to feel seasick, if you lay down flat, so you're with the boat, as against to fighting it, it makes it so much better.
100%. And the other thing is, as well, is what I've said to other people that can't deal with it, is get to the center of the boat. So you're not sat at the front where you're going up and down. You're not at the back where you're going up and down. If you're in the middle, you just sat there nicely, But yeah, I'm quite fortunate. I've never had it. I've seen plenty of people on here being sick, but I haven't been sick myself.
No, it's a horrible feeling, I have to say. So, are you going to? Do you see yourself writing a book on this once you've done your travels?
Hopefully, yeah. We'll get together all those that are concerned, and because we've had a few people from back home. Deb and Dean, they've done a bit of sailing with us. There's another guy that I met in Thailand that he did a couple of legs with us as well. And I need to get all that information together. And yeah, I will be doing at some point.
Wicked.
I haven't got a lot of patience though, Chris. So I've got to train myself to sit down and do the book. I want it done now.
Yeah, well, at the minute you're making chapters.
Yeah,
that's how you've got to view it. I mean, I suppose you could start penning your notes now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think with the combination of obviously you've got a captain's log. You've got your constant photos. I do things on Telegram and YouTube, which we've just been getting upgraded at the minute, the YouTube channel, SV Boreal. So yeah, like and subscribe on there.
Yeah, if you send me the YouTube link when the video goes out, I'll put your YouTube channel in the video description. So
Awesome.
anybody who's watching this, please do go into the video description, click on the link and subscribe.
Perfect. Yeah. So with all that, I think we've got enough information to put everything together at the end of it, you know. And then the whole thing of sitting around again with the people that were on here and just going, hey, you remember this, you know, reminiscing and, oh, yeah, that's right, writing that bit down sort of thing.
That's brilliant. I can imagine you're going to have such a good party when you get back home.
I'm really looking forward to that one. I've just actually, a friend of mine, Deb, who's done now 2,000 nautical miles with me. She's gone back because I've taken her long enough for her husband. So she's gone back just today, and they're having a bit of a party when she gets back up north at another friend's place called Todd. So I'm hoping to speak to all them on the video call, and then I'll feel like I'm part of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, how has since Mary left, how has the loneliness been?
Yeah, it's been hard. I've got to be honest with you. And really trying to work on my own mind, my own sort of sanity to keep going. But yeah, that has been really, really hard.
And are there any tricks that you've done to keep sane?
I guess you go with a bit of meditation. I'm a big believer in talking. So fortunately, I've had Debbie put. Deb's been getting her ears chewed off. But just talking and talking and talking till you come up with a bit of a solution within your own mind, I guess. So yeah, I'm lucky that I'm surrounded by a lot of beautiful, amazing people. Whether it's actually here, you know, by my side, or whether it's on Zoom calls, etc., from back home, I've got a lot of support from back home.
That's good.
So yeah.
Oh, that's really good. So what kind of repairs have you had to face then? Obviously, I'm guessing it's the battering of the waves on the hull.
Yeah,
Tending to sound like a boat person.
You name it, mate. We've had ripped sails. We've got into storms and just had sails ripped to shreds. Solar panels getting ripped off the side in big waves. Generators going to generators. I had a stint of never-ending generator problems. There's that. There's my main engine's been pretty good. I haven't had too many issues there. But if you imagine your house and all that's in it, and then somebody picking it up for 24 hours a day and shaking it, things move, things get worn through, pipes break, electric cables break. So there's always something.
What's the scariest moment you've had? Because there must be a few being on the ocean on your own.
There has been a few. I mean, one of them, as we were coming out of the, we had to pull in as we were coming up to the Red Sea into into an Egyptian Navy base to be able to get a bit of fuel, a bit of water, bits and pieces. Those guys were amazing there, by the way. I actually met the Admiral of the Fleet, big smiley fella, happy fella. And I said, you got to tell me. I said, I've come through the Red Sea in the bottom of Yemen. And I said, I haven't seen any ships been sunk. I haven't seen any signs of war, anything. And he just smiled at me and he said, the media are an amazing thing, aren't they? And that was the end of that.
It's so true, though.
It is, mate. So we actually came out of there after a couple of days, rested up. They were really good. They just said, stay here for another night, rest yourself up. You've got your water, you've got your fuel. And as we went out, it was great. We were sailing perfectly. It was blowing about 25 knots on our beam on our side. And we were achieving about 9 knots. That's a great sail for this size of vessel. And then all of a sudden, it just went 35, 40 knots. And we just got pushed right over. The front sail got torn to shreds. The solar panel got ripped off the side. We had to just haul it round so quickly, drop all the sails, and then reef them all down. But yeah, that was quite nervy at that point. It was just because it was out of the blue, and I didn't expect it in the Red Sea. But some of the worst waters I've actually been in have also been in the Mediterranean. These isolated little squally storms, and speaking to other sailors from the area, they're saying, they never used to have these little storms, and all of a sudden they're getting them out of the blue. They're not on a weather map. You're not picking them up, and they just bang, they're there, and they're quite nasty. I've got to say.
I wonder if that's a patent by Mr. Gates.
Very possibly, mate. Yeah. That's a whole new conversation.
Isn't it just? It's amazing the fact that we could even say that, and it holds clarity.
That's it.
Clout, rather. But no, that's yeah. Do you
Uh,
find it because I imagine at night time it must be pretty bloody scary because when you're out in the middle of the ocean, obviously you've got no light unless you've got a bright moon.
yeah,
So not only have you got the expansiveness of nothing other than death if you make one false move, but
yeah.
it's just the visual must be very. Is it disorientating?
No, you do get used to it. I was quite worried about that to start off with because you've just got to rely on your equipment. So I've got a radar, and I've got my maps, so I know I'm not near land. So what else have we got out there? Well, we could have ships out there, and some places are pretty busy. So you've got your radar going, and that's got an alarm on it. So if something comes within, I can set it up to 36 nautical miles. So it's, coming on 70 kilometers away,
Hmm.
and so there's that. You have faith in your equipment, but I actually really love it, and especially when you've got no moon, because when you're in the darkness, it's just like you're floating in space, and especially if there's not a lot of wind, it's
Hmm.
just an incredible
It's like
feeling.
being in one of
Yeah,
those tanks, those
yeah,
isolation tanks.
that's it. Yeah, 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 just like that sort of thing. So yeah, I prefer the nights, and I always say, I'll do the night shifts because I do prefer that time, and it's nice and quiet, and yeah, all these crazy things going on. Look, I'm always looking for weird lights in the sky. I haven't seen any yet, um, but Mary's daughter did, Sophia, and Dean, who was on board at the same time. They both saw the same thing, and I think that was down in Indonesia. So
And what kind of light did they see?
it said it was just it was a light, and it basically zigzagged very quickly and massive distances. So as I say, I didn't see it. I'm only telling you secondhand.
That's cool. See, the only light that I've ever seen similar to that, it looked kind of like a bright star, and as it went past, it split into two more. So it was like a triangle with three dots, and it just went over the forest.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible.
And that
Where
was
was
that's
that?
probably about 10, 15 years ago in Thetford on the way to work at about 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, so you weren't just leaving the pub then? There's no
No, no,
reason
no,
for
no, no. I'd not long been up for a day
it.
shift back when I did.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've seen other things back home that I just can't explain. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, there's things out there that we just don't know. I mean, what is the bigger picture? What is further than this? Have
That's
any of
it.
us cracked it yet? I don't
You
know.
haven't fallen off the edge yet.
I haven't, and I have been asked that. Is it
Have you
flat? Is
really?
it round? Yeah, and I go, to be quite honest with you, I've got absolutely no way of proving to you either way. I really don't. Um, it's funny. I said to Commander Nigel Kitchenman when he was giving us a hand to get up to England. I said, we talked about the flat and the round, and he says, it's crazy to think it's flat. And I said, hey, Nigel, which way is New Zealand? And he just went, well, it's back that way. I said, well, that would insinuate the world's flat then, wouldn't it? It's got to be below us.
That's true.
So, and that was his first instinct that it's just over there, it's back that way, sort of thing. So, yeah, it's
No, that is one
who
of those things
knows?
where you can never really prove or
Well, you
disprove.
can't, and really and truly, does it matter? That's the way I look at it. I mean,
I don't
if
think it would affect us on a day-to-day level.
mm,
I think the only argument for why it would be hidden would to be to hide the fact that there's a creator.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that is the only. It would then make you question what else is, because if they can lie about that, then what haven't they lied about? I mean,
well, that's
you could
it.
ask that now. What haven't they lied about?
Yeah, pretty much everything. But
But,
I mean, there's the whole thing with the. Have you heard of the Admiral Byrd statements of him being down there?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's all that, that you've got to take into account. You go, well, is there something further? Is there another world further on? You also look at a lot of the old navigational maps and what were on them and the shapes of things, and it does not make sense to
Mm.
what we're dealing with now. So, hey, there's nothing you can sort of dismiss or write off, is
That's
there?
it. See, I would be inclined. I would find. I don't know. I'll probably get shot down by all the flat Earth people and the globers, but I could find it more plausible that they've kept a certain amount of land hidden from everyone
Mm.
else. And
Yeah,
perhaps that's where all these wankers go that have done their bit for the agenda, and then they sneak off, and that's where they all go over to this new place. So if you imagine like a golf ball with all the little pits in it, we're just
yeah,
in one of those pits where there could be another pit with another. So that to me could be plausible.
yeah. Sounds pretty logical to me as well. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of evidence to say there's a lot more land out there. So yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is when you go onto your sea maps, my navigational maps. Now, if you can get all the way around Antarctica, you should be able to have maps going all the way around it. When you look at them, it only goes down to halfway, and then it says there is no data past this point. Well, hang on though, but what if I'm at the other side? Why can't I see the data for that? You know, so there's something there. But the other thing is as well, Chris, is I don't like the cold, mate. So I'm not going to have a look.
No, no. Well, I think you can only get to the 33rd parallel or whatever they call it before you'll get met by warships telling you to
Yeah,
turn back. So I think
yeah.
you'd probably, even if you went all that way, I don't think you'd probably have much luck in
Well,
the
there again,
exploration.
I've been told that all the way through. Oh, if you get to there, you won't get to there because they'll come out after you there. I mean, I was told in Indonesia that if I try and get anywhere near Singapore, they'll send the jets out after me. And yeah, I just went past Singapore and carried on with my life. You know? So
That's great. Perhaps that can be the next big adventure that you do, as long as you've got plenty of
possibly.
warm things to put on.
Well, I think yeah, I need a bigger boat. I need central heating in it, and I don't want to be the one going outside. You know, so
Mm,
I'll have to send people up and go, "Can you have a look? What's happening there?" and report back to me.
absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time in talking with me today.
Not a worry.
Um, really fascinated by what you're doing. So much admiration for what you're doing because it takes a lot of guts, especially to do it on your own.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
So yeah, hats off to you. Now, are you having help funding? Have you got a GoFundMe link that you can
Um,
share or?
yeah, we're just setting things up. I mean, I've sort of funded 90% of it myself. After I was actually in business back home, and I sold the business and put everything into this because I could just see the way the world was going. And yes, I'm low on funds with it, and I do need help. Juicy and Lucy have put me something together on, I think it's the YouTube channel,
Mhm.
which connects to PayPal and that sort of thing.
Okay, well,
So
I will share any of those links. So again, if anyone's watching this who wants to help out Tim with the rest of his voyage, then please do hit on that link because what he's doing takes a lot of cojones, and I think that that should be respected.
awesome, thank you, mate.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. I wish you every success with the rest of your journey. I'd love to have you back on at some other point when you're back home and you've completed your mission, and then we can talk about how that went.
Yeah, awesome, definitely. We'll stay in touch. Well, we might get you onto the Caribbean yet.
Oh, that'd be nice. The only trouble is, obviously, when it's time to go home and you're in New Zealand, I'm going back to Blighty, which would
we'll
mean which means you would have to go all the way back to Blighty before you could go all the way back to New Zealand.
we'll sort of way. I mean, at that point, if you don't want to go back to New Zealand, I'm sure they'll deport you through the corporation.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Yeah, that's not a bad point. Stay tuned. Watch this space. Right. Thank you very much. Everyone who's watched this, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Please check out Tim's YouTube channel in the links below. And until next time, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye for now.